And AEW has been facing a lot of controversy lately, and one of the big ones involved Ivelisse, who was released from the company just a few weeks ago, and she blames politicking, backstage politicking, and Thunder Rosa for her release from the company. So in a quote, she said, quote, I spoke up about mistreatment from a coach, even to other women too. There were witnesses, and I was the one suspended and left in limbo, and just now let go. She's talking about being let go of AEW from AEW, and nothing has been done at all the entire time. Thunder Rosa is slandering my name the entire time in AEW and doing everything to sabotage my position here. I kept quiet, but Thunder Rosa also has a history of getting involved with officials in order to get ahead. There was a lawsuit and everything in Lucha Underground. So, just taking a pause there. So, it seems that according to Ivelisse, who again is now released from AEW, she was suspended after coming out and talking about mistreatment from a coach, and now she was let go. And she's talking very candidly now about her time there and how she felt that there was mistreatment, how there was backstage politicking by Thunder Rosa specifically, and how there's a history there apparently between her and Thunder Rosa going back to Lucha Underground. And here's the thing: we know that wrestling is a cutthroat business. Wrestling is as cutthroat as a business there is. But these allegations right now against a company like AEW, who, again, we just mentioned, they pride themselves on being, very, treating their wrestlers very, in very basic dignity, unlike other companies, so this is, again, not a good look. Like, we don't know exactly what's going on, but these are serious allegations. We know that she was suspended. We know she was kind of in this state of limbo and then released. So, that part of her story checks out. And, just Trevor, what do you think about this? What do you make of her comments? And, what does this mean for potentially the AEW women's division? We know they've had problems in the
Yeah.
past, with their women's division and elevating them. But, again, not a good look.
I mean, it kind of is one of those things that kind of makes you worried because of how far the women's division in AEW come, and it's like, will talent really want to come here now? Like, now that Ivelisse is speaking out against this, like, I mean, and also what makes you question Thunder Rosa a little bit too. Um, Again, not a good look. Not a good look for the trainers. Not a good look for the behind the scenes people, or either the other female wrestlers either. So, like, it just makes me worried because they're coming they're coming back. The women's division is stepping up big time, and you see good things in the horizon. And you want other talent to come, just like even someone like Ivelisse, someone like either, since we're doing Impact crossovers like Jordan Grace, like, you want these types of talents to come over. But when you have controversies like this, you kind of, as a talent, I wouldn't want to come. I wouldn't want to sign it, especially if it's not investigated.
Yeah, and I mean, look, we've talked about how AEW has been different than a lot of other wrestling promotions in the past, but when you're running a company, you have to take these things into account. You have to take these things seriously, and Ivelisse also talked about the mental health struggles that she's been going through, especially during that time in her life in the company. And she felt like there were times where that wasn't taken into consideration. So all we can say is I genuinely hope whatever problems there were, whether they be the mistreatment, whether they be the lack of transparency, the lack of communication between the company and her, and whatever went down between her and Thunder Rosa, I genuinely hope all of that gets resolved in some matter of fact way. And I hope that if there is mistreatment, I think, like, if there's any mistreatment by a coach, yeah, get him out of there. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
what happened to Bill DeMont? Remember Bill DeMont? People were saying for years that Bill DeMont, who was once the trainer of NXT, you might remember him as the Laughing Man, Hugh Morris from
Right.
WCW. There was a lot of talk about him mistreating wrestlers, and we saw a lot of that actually on Tough Enough. But eventually it caught up with him. So I think the wrestling business overall has this weird culture of be not just being cutthroat, but at times just being overly aggressive and at times just mean. We talked about this with the JBL and the bullying culture that existed in WWE, and it's just a cultural thing. You have to at some point, I think say that, hey, what happened, this politicking, this mistreatment by coaches, if it's true, again, if it's true, your allegations, all of this stuff, if it did happen, then it needs to be rooted out, because that's not what we want to see from wrestling in 2021. We're there to see the stars. We're there to see people flourish. We want more people to become bigger stars, and that's what this is about. So I really hope AEW gets whatever these problems are they have internally. Maybe just I think to me, what I see a lot of this as, I break it down to communication. You could say that about the Alberto El Patron thing. You could say that about, I believe, the relationship between Ivelisse and the AEW management. I think a lot of this boils down to either a lack of communication or bad communication. And the common denominator, Trevor, in all of this is AEW. So at the end of the day, we have to look at them. And maybe they have to look at themselves and say, what can we do better to stop this kind of stuff from happening, to make people feel more welcome and make people feel safe? Because that's what it's about too. You gotta wrestle. You have to be safe when you're in the wrestling ring. You have to be safe when you're getting trained. It's not a place where you can just beat up people like what Bob Holly did on Tough Enough back in the day. You can't do that anymore. Like, that's not going to motivate anyone in 2021. It's just the truth. It's just the truth. We're different. It's different. So just catch up with the times.
It's not, and I'm not saying it's to like kind of wipe it under the rug or just look the other way, but it's still a young company, and they're still getting their kinks out of it. So I think stuff like this, unfortunately, is going to happen. But being a smart businessman, you have to figure out what's going on, and hopefully we'll find out more about it and understand what problems need to be fixed, and get them taken care of.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope so because I know that the intentions behind a lot of people that are running the company are good, and I want to see them really carry that out in all assets, and I think they will. I
figure stuff out.
Yeah, I have faith that they will address these whatever issues there are, very candidly. Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.